Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Pokeballs Podcast. We're on episode 22. Would you have imagined we'd got this far? As always, your host, or one of the hosts, myself, Lee Osirus, joined by S9 Vibe Scott on the far right or left, I don't know, that side of the screen that I'm not on. And we also have a special guest back with us again this week, Light. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you so much again for coming back on after the last episode. It was so great to have you on, and so close to the DLCs now. It's going to be good, I think, this week to kind of get some more insights from yourself.
Hola chicos, how are you? ¿Qué tal? Thank you very much for letting me stay here again. I'm super excited to be with you. And yes, I mean 14 days for the first part of the DLC.
14 days, baby.
Yeah, 14 days, like it will be like 100 days waiting.
Yeah.
But well, it's there. We can see the light.
We can see the light on two sides, but no, you're right, mate. 14 days is not long, and it feels like it's taken forever to kind of come around. Before we dive into things today, I'm just going to throw it over to Scott, because I kind of introduced him, but I kind of just cut him out a little bit, and we always like to have a little bit of chit chat before we get into the mean bones of things. So how you doing over there, mate, with your fancy jazzy shirt on this week?
Oh, thank you. I just threw this on today. No,
just threw it on.
I just threw it on. No, yeah. I'm doing excellent. I'm getting excited. As we can imagine, like I said, happy that we've got Light on the pod today to discuss things, because we have our own theories, but sometimes it's good to get a third opinion. And obviously last time we had, we didn't know half the information that we know now, so it's really obviously great to have some more retrospective talk about what we know now, what's sort of been confirmed, and what we think's coming up. Because I've definitely got a few questions. We can talk about it. Obviously, we can dive into it in a minute. But I've got loads of your tweets open. But there's one particular thing I want to talk about in terms of the DLCs, but that you actually mentioned as well. But we also talked about. But there's so much stuff to talk about now. I don't think we're going to get. Personally, I don't think we're going to get much more teased now until we get the Teal Mask dropped in 2 weeks' time. I think that the teaser we had for whatever that much Pokemon was, I can't remember what it's called. I think that's as far as we're going to get. I don't think we're going to do anything more. I feel like if they were going to tease, if there was much more to say, I think they would have done it with that. Maybe another Pokemon, I would guess, maybe, if they wanted to tease it, but I can't see there'd be anything groundbreaking, because we know we're not going to get the 19th Tera Type until the Indigo Disk, right? So there's nothing really to touch on that until at least this has been out for a month or so. So we probably won't get any news until we know when the second DLC is, which probably be November. Now that this is coming out in September. They still haven't given a specific. It said planned on all the promotional material. It says planned release date. So if they have many hiccups with the DLC, which I really hope they don't, but it's will probably happen with some of the stuff, especially if they try and do some fancy stuff with it. But we'll see. But I am super excited to see how much content is actually in these DLCs as well, because there's a lot of potential scope for them, and there is also that potential scope for a third DLC, which that was what I wanted to touch on, but we can dive into that a bit later. But that's pretty much it in my head. I think we should just start talking about some of these theories.
I'm just going to say I totally, and this isn't any disrespect, but I totally disagree with you that we're not going to get any information before the DLC drops. I think there's a bit of support and evidence to it as well, where we've still got a hidden video on the Scarlet and Violet playlist that hasn't dropped yet, right? And I think going back and looking at the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra before they both dropped, right, we got like real kind of insight and a bit more of a this is what things are going on in the Isle of Armor. Like, we knew about the Diglett hunt before it, we knew about lots of other things in a more comprehensive teaser trailer about it was a showcase trailer for the Isle of Armor. So I do feel like that's something that we probably will get. It's not going to give away loads of information, but I think it's going to promote more people to come in and want to buy it and have these extra additional things that you can do in the games through the Teal Mask, and then on to the Indigo Disk they'll probably do this similar sort of thing. So I could be completely wrong, but I think it'll be next week at some point.
Yeah,
We'll probably get it.
How close do you think that will be?
I think next week is when we'll probably see it dropped, and I think they might just shadow drop it, just drop it randomly, and then that'll be there.
That would make a lot of sense. A little summary video that would make a lot of sense, actually.
Who knows? What do you think about that, Light?
Yes, I think that a summary video of everything that we saw in Pokemon Presents, in a couple of videos more, like some type of mix, some type of that attract to people to buy the DLC, because I think, as I said the first podcast, I think the DLC will be better than the main game. I don't know if maybe it's some type of marketing plan, but I mean, the DLC, I think will be crazy.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of content as well. I think there's going to be loads to do, like not in both of them together. I mean, like individually, I think there's going to be loads of content in the Teal Mask and then Indigo Disk, and it's all going to kind of accumulate into this end story as well, where I think it teased it in that last trailer where the end scene was running into Area Zero again, or the camera panning into Area Zero, where it's inevitably going to end and we're going to get the secrets revealed for what's down there and what's happened, and all those clips of like Heath and his exploration and stuff like that. It was just like, oh, that's what we need, but we've got to wait probably until that second DLC trailer. I kind of hope that the whole thing to Kitakami, where we're going, does bring us back to Paldea, and there is some sort of like start or beginning to the story where we go into Area Zero, something happens, and then that takes us away to Indigo Disk. But I don't know how likely anything like that is.
Well, it's supposed that there's a time lapse between the first DLC and the second DLC, because the first part of the DLC you can start as soon as you get Miraidon and Coraidon first form. That it's like 2 hours in the game.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yes, and the second part of the DLC you will be able to play if you finish the game. So it's supposed that there will be a time lapse there that, maybe, well, we are going to talk about this now that Keiran will grow up, because I think that Keiran is the lead of the Blueberry Academy in the second part. But well, we will talk about this. But I think that yes, there will be a time lapse that finally we will finish there, in where we finish the game in the Area Zero, to catch the Paradox, Entei, Raikou, the left that they stay there waiting for us, and to finish to know Terapagos, and well, we have to see. But I mean, as you said, maybe it can be even a third part, but we have to see it. I don't know. Maybe I say that maybe they're going to give for free a third part for all the fails. And
see, I was just thinking about that, because that's the main thing that I wanted to touch on, really. Because I mean, me and Neve spoke about it, and you obviously you did a tweet about it as well that mentioned that is an interesting bit of information here. I don't know where this came from Nintendo's website here, that says blah 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 blah. It's possible that additional DLC not listed above will also be distributed with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Hidden Treasures of Area Zero. Now, I think in my head it makes a lot of sense to have a third DLC, whether or not that is a free update to so say you have both the DLC, you complete both of them, and then they maybe it's like a patch, I don't know, or like a free update to then go do more stuff in Area Zero, like in the main series game. I feel like, I mean, I don't know, I think it would be exciting to have like a third DLC, but I think if they release a third DLC that you have to buy, I think it's going to piss everyone off. So unless it's like cheap, like a $5, like in my head, it would make a lot of sense if it was like I say, just like a patch update to like the main series game that allows you to go further into Area Zero or whatever else it adds, or unless it was already there in the game, I mean, it's just not unlocked and they just have to unlock it. Maybe it's been there the entire time, or maybe adding the DLCs to the game when you download them, it just adds that extra bit of story. You don't have to pay for it, but they can just unlock it and then it's there, you know. But I do think there's definitely something extra that's not part of the DLCs that we're going to get, but in what form, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I think if you go back to Pokemon Legends Arceus, they did a Daybreak update. I think it was called Daybreak update. It was like it was almost like an update patch, but there was extended storyline in it, and it created massive mass outbreaks rather than just mass outbreaks. So it was like a tiny little story that kind of was added into the game, almost like a very small DLC. Like, because it had, like I say, a very minute story added into the actual game itself and opened up all of these additional kind of features rather than just mass outbreaks. You started to get these massive mass outbreaks in the games. And that was a post-game feature as well. So that feels, you know, like how you're explaining this to kind of run out in like Sword and Shield. This kind of feels like it could be a similar sort of thing, like a bonus if you've bought both DLC packs, that you get this additional one for free. And it's not a huge one, but it opens up a lot of areas.
The final
in Area Zero, yeah, potentially, yeah.
Moreover, because also it's supposed that Koraidon and Miraidon will be able to fly in the second part of the DLC. It's supposed that, in my opinion, this function should be in the main line, but well, I mean, if they keep to do that in the second part, it's okay. But yes, I mean, maybe it's an official third part of the DLC included in both of them. But what is sure that in the Area Zero, it should be as another place super big that we are not, we don't know what we will see what's going on there, because I mean, we have to find 4 Paradox Pokemon, well, 2 and 2. Maybe also there are also the Paradox Suicune and Walking Wake and Iron Leaf. Maybe they're also there. So I don't know. Maybe, you know, Area Zero, it's like a huge hint about what can be there, and they can play with this, because if the Area Zero is super big, they can include a lot of things. And moreover, maybe they will fly Koraidon and Miraidon there. I don't know.
Yeah, because the other thing to think of, right, in these games, at some point they're going to have, because this just links more back to the competitive scene. They're going to do a GS Cup, and for those of you that don't know what GS Cup rules are, it's basically where they introduce the box art legendaries like your Kyogres, your Groudons, your Rayquazas, your Mewtwo's, etc., like Xerneas and things like that. But to have a format like that, you need to have these Pokemon available to catch in-game. They did it in Sword and Shield through the Crown Tundra. So you've got to start to ask yourself questions like when and how are they going to do it in Scarlet and Violet? Like the Terrarium doesn't seem like the sort of place where these legendaries are going to be cropping up. They haven't shown any legendary. We know they're going to start a Pokemon there. We're going to get a bunch of all the Pokemon that are pretty much going to be in that second part of the DLC, like the Indigo Disk. They're all going to be in this terrarium, but it doesn't feel, because it's man-made, like the legendary Pokemon would be there. So the only other explanation for where these legendaries, where we're going to be able to get every single legendary that has come in past generations in Scarlet and Violet, is going to be in Area Zero, in my opinion anyway. So it feels like that has to be a big extension to what we've already got.
I think coming via the time machine would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then they just, like I said, they just either appear down there, or you have to go into the time machine and do. That would make a lot of sense to me. But you're 100% right. You know, there has to be some way of adding it in. They had, what was it? How did they do it?
Dynamax Adventure.
Dynamax Adventure, that was it. So
yeah,
the Max Dance, yeah.
Yeah, so we have to wait and see, really. But it'd be interesting to see what, like I said, I feel like there's a lot more to tell with the actual time machine that we don't know. It'd be cool. Do you guys think that whether the professor will still be alive, or the professors will still be alive or come back? Because I feel like it just. I know it's very cliche, but I feel like that, you know, it
would feel right.
It would make sense if they sort of brought them back.
It's like it's something missing there, because if it's supposed that in Metzagoza, in English, it's supposed that there are the 2 laboratories of the professors, like a modern one and the ancient one. It's like the professors were there in some time in the timeline. So maybe, maybe they are in another timeline. Maybe they will appear with a new legendary Pokemon. I mean, there could be various scenarios but I think that Pokemon will live as it is, and we have to think about where they could be.
While you guys were talking, I had this crazy theory in my head that imagine if they actually ended all of the DLC on like a big cliffhanger for the next games. So imagine if you like went into like the time machine and it takes you to like some future form of like Unova or some shit, and then it just ends, and then we just have to wait like a whole year to find out what it means. How sick would it be if they ended on a cliffhanger on a Pokemon game from the next one?
That'd be very cool. I would love
Especially
that.
with all these tie-ins to like Unova and stuff. It definitely seems like we're going to get some form of remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, next year. So it would be mad. But yeah, that was just a weird side note that I just had while we were talking. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
So much to talk about. I think one of the first things I want to kind of ask and quiz you on, like, is recently got introduced to a new character in the Teal Mask DLC, Perrin. And I'd love for you just to talk to us about like your theories around Perrin, about like who we suspect she might be linked to, and what the Pokemon potentially that she's looking for in the forest as well. So I think this like it was very small kind of section of the DLC, but I feel like it's going to have quite a big kind of impact on a lot of things that we'll be doing around and in and around the DLC when it does drop.
Yes, I mean, it's supposed that we are talking about that maybe Perrin is ascendant from Adaman. Adaman was the leader of the Diamond Clan in Pokemon Lane Arceus. Also, she looks like him 100%. Maybe, maybe is the the descendant of Adaman, and we suppose that she's finding some kind of Pokemon to make some photos in the timeless woods that it's located in Kitakami. And well, we are talking about that maybe there, because it seems that it's a weird place that the people from Kitakami, they don't go, and maybe she's searching for some type of Pokemon from Pokemon Lanes for Pokemon Lanes Arceus. But also we are talking about that maybe there will be the chance to catch some Pokemon there. Maybe there's some type like time distortion of some type of that happened with the time there, that you will be able to catch those Pokemon and also to obtain certain items like the Pick Block to evolve Ursa into Ursaluna. But I mean that's another stuff to add from this game to. I mean, finally Pokemon what it's doing is adding other Pokemon games to catch in some places, because if you are going to get maybe this Ursaluna that is trying to find Perrin, but I think that is not trying to find this Ursaluna, it's trying to find a new form of Ursaluna, because there was leaked and there was also mentions and rumors that maybe this will be the form that is looking for Perrin. Maybe it will be some type of solar eclipse or something like that, or lunar eclipse, blood moon form of Ursaluna. Yeah, but also it's quite rare, because this generation Ursaluna has access to 3 attacks that has high probability of chance that it's Night Slash, Stone Edge, and Shadow Claw. So maybe this Ursaluna will have the ability Sniper, but it's quite curious because Ursaring has bulletproof. No, not bulletproof. Sorry, it's an ability that the critical hits doesn't land. So it's the opposite.
Oh yeah. That would be
COVID cloak. I don't know.
That would be crazy though, wouldn't it?
I think what you touched on there about having a special like an area where like Pokemon from Pokemon Legends Arceus spawn you know, where there would be touching on what we were saying earlier about having the box art legendaries, some way to get them. It would be cool if they added a way to get the Pokemon from PLA, because as we mentioned earlier, you know, it's not easy to get certain Pokemon from PLA. It is. We talk about Enamorus as one example. That one's a big pain in the bum to get, you know, because it's right at the end of the game. So it would be cool if we had an area in the DLC somewhere that, you know, we could catch these PLA Pokemon, and that would obviously tie in quite well to this. So.
Yeah, and be able to evolve them as well, because I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks is, you know, you've got to have the game to evolve them, you know. It's like if you don't have the game, you need to know someone that has the game so they can trade you them pretty much. So yeah, having access to them. And again, speaking from like a competitive side of things, like to even the playing field for all of the players, that like they need to have access to these Pokemon if they're in the format. It was always the issue with why mythical Pokemon were never introduced to any format and will likely never be introduced to a VG format, because the way that it's looked at is mythical Pokemon are generally mystery gift Pokemon, so you can't cover bases because these mythical Pokemon aren't accessible in any generation really, you know, very few and far between. That there are going to be players that don't have access to these Pokemon, and because of that, then they're not including them, or that's not, you know, they're not inclusive of the rules. So it feels kind of like that same sort of situation if they aren't implementing these Pokemon to be caught in the games at some point. Then it does feel like, especially from a competitive side of things, that players are going to be at a disadvantage. So you would imagine, yeah, these woods might be the area where all of the Legends Arceus Pokemon appear. Although I personally think they're going to be in various different places around Kitakami, because I feel like we've seen the Hisui and Growlithe statues in the trailer already. And it just makes sense because, you know, Johto is a Japanese location. Kitakami is a Japanese location. We know that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, the kind of the original people that traveled over to Hisui were from Johto. So a lot of these Pokemon, it could explain that this is where they originally came from. So there's a tie in there, I guess, that they could kind of use.
It's yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like I said, it just depends on how much of stuff they want to tie in. You know, like I said, we've got all these nods to Unova with a lot of the characters that are in the Indigo Disk and a lot of the promotional material. So it just depends on how, I guess, hard they decide to go on, and you know, whether they are actually nods as well. I know Pokemon likes to do it a lot, but how strong of a nod they will be.
Scott, before we get into anything else, I'm just gonna because I don't know, I've probably not mentioned this to Light before now, but a few podcasts ago, Scott and I had a crazy theory about Ogerpon, and I want to throw it to you now. I want to throw it to you now just to kind of get your opinion on it, and then give us your opinion on that story mod as well. So we were talking about Ogerpon, the Terastalisation, the mask, and things like that, and then I got talking about the Clefairy mass outbreak event that's going to be happening shortly after the Teal Mask drops, okay? And then if you look at the DLC trailer as well, it looks as though the trainer, when they're first going up against Ogerpon, when it terastalizes with the mask, has a Clefairy by its side, right? And then you've got this mass outbreak event for Clefairy that's happening like very shortly after. And it just seems strange that Clefairy is the Pokemon that they're really concentrating on and kind of dropping into places here, there, and everywhere, especially with the mass outbreak event happening shortly after the DLC drops. And then we looked at Ogerpon. There was still an Ogerpon, and we were like, look at those ears. If you look at the ears on Ogerpon behind the mask, if you look at the tips of them, the ears are black, but if you look at the tips of a Clefable's ears, they are black as well. So we're like, is it an evolution of Clefable that we don't know about yet, or is it a regional variant of Clefable? And this is why they're doing this crazy mass outbreak event for Clefairy, because there's some tie to Clefable to Ogerpon, or Ogerpon is some sort of, evolution of Clefable in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. It just feels like, yeah, you can see the ears there. And obviously the rest of the body doesn't look like a Clefable, right? But who's to say it's not like an evolution? It's just the ears.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, original form, yes. I mean,
it just seems so weird to shadow drop this Clefairy outbreak, and for it to be also with the trainer when you first encounter it, or at least in this little teaser they have.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we're just
so odd, doesn't it?
We're just theorizing too strongly, but it seems too much of a coincidence in my opinion.
And it's so subtle a drop as well that it feels like it could have big ramifications for stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like that it's gone so much under the radar that like people are overlooking it when it could have real big implications. And I know how nuts this theory sounds, right? I really do. I know this is probably not what's going to be, and a lot of people are going to be like, you guys are crazy, this is not what is going to happen. But it just feels like there's like pieces there that could kind of fit together. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's quite interesting because it's supposed that they also rumored that there will be appear a new Pokemon that it's a Peach Pokemon. So, well, who knows? Maybe
Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe it looks some kind. Yeah, maybe it looks some kind of Clefairy, like. Yeah, because as you can see, the Ogerpon has the cape that has. If you see in the back, it's some type of. It looks like a peach. The third image. Yes.
Yeah.
The another one. Yes. Next one. No, the other one. The last one.
That is a peach.
Oh,
yes. You can see there is like
yeah.
some type of peach. This cape. So, I mean, maybe yes. Why not? Maybe there will appear some type of different Clefairy, some type of peach Pokemon that can looks like like Ogerpon, because if we have Fesandipiti, Okidogi, and Munkidori, we also have Ogerpon that it's the only we are missing the peach Pokemon. So I don't know, maybe as you said, there will be some type of kind of Pokemon that looks maybe some Clefairy thing or Clefable thing, but it's interesting.
It's just.
I think it's kind of peach colored as well. You could kind of stretch to peach colored, right?
yes.
It's just a whole, because it's a mask, right? I think this is the thing. Like, obviously, whatever this Pokemon is, whether it's a new Pokemon or not, it's wearing a mask, right? This mask ties into the new Terastalisation mechanic. We don't know how the masks work, but there's a Pokemon behind it, regardless of if it's a new one. And I think that's what makes me feel like the black ears aren't they're part of the Pokemon. They're not part of the mask. So what is it?
It was decent already that has the eyes like some type of stars. Mm-hmm. The eyes of Ogerpon. It's I think in the promo poster of TL Mask, you can see half face of
you can, yeah, because it's like peeking out from behind the mask, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and has some type of there you are.
There you go. Yeah. That could be a Clefable. I'm gonna run with it.
I mean,
like
if we see in 1 year or 2 years a convergence form of Clefable, like looking some Ogerpon.
The only other reason that I would say this is we always kind of, when we go down these theory routes as well, we always kind of come back to the developers of the game and the creators of the game having such an affinity for Gen 1 Pokemon as well, right? And it's always Gen 1 Pokemon that always get these kind of special treatment, right? Yeah. And if you remember back, I don't know if you ever heard this, but in the original anime, Ash's first partner Pokemon was originally set to be Clefairy. It wasn't meant to be Pikachu, and then they changed it to Pikachu, and on it went, and Pikachu obviously is what we know it to be today. But Clefairy obviously is like a special Pokemon to that core kind of creative group at Game Freak. So this might be their chance to be like, here we go, to get it in the limelight, and I might be stretching here, but I totally I get that. But I just think it's a fun theory that could be a lot of fun, and it just feels weird that the Clefairy, like Scott said, that event just seems so random. It makes no sense. Like I just
yes. Also, there's a lot of like lunar sems.
Yeah.
In the video, in the trailer, but maybe also as are you talking about, but also I think that it's connected to this Pokemon that is Perrin looking for. But well,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe it's just like the trailer. Well, but I pay for that theory. I like it.
Maybe we're completely wrong, but we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, we'll find out soon. Yeah.
We'll find
and
out
also
soon.
getting on the Ogerpon and the 3 hero Pokemon as well. There's a part of me that feels like Ogerpon's actually gonna turn out to be the good guy in all of this, and the heroes are gonna be kind of anti-heroes, and we're gonna uncover a story where they're actually the ones that are the bad ones, and Ogerpon's actually the good one. I don't know how you feel about that, or just tell us what you think about the whole kind of story there and what you think how it's going to play out.
Well, as I saw in the last trailer, like they did some type of update of what's going on, what is supposed going to on. It's supposed that we are going to face Kaidan, and then we lose with the he has the new Pokemon Dipplin. It seems that lose, and then it's like he raged and he disappeared, and maybe he went into the mountain, and then maybe he encounters Ogerpon, and well, I don't know, maybe in this moment the other 3 heroes get involved about in this incident. But I think that what this Kaidan is trying to do in the DLC is like to get stronger, maybe going to the mountain to face Ogerpon. But I mean, I think that everything went in the other side. But I mean, yes, it's kind of, as you say, that the 3 heroes are going to be the anti-heroes also. I mean, they look like, yes, something bad in them, and Ogerpon will be the good one. But as Momotaro's tale, it's supposed that that Momotaro's meets the Fesandipiti, Okidogi, and Munkidori, and then it's supposed that they defeat the Oni, the Ogerpon. But well, I think that can happen anything, because Pokemon are so unpredictable that can happen anything.
Yeah. They do mean though. Like I there's just something sinister about Okidogi, Pheasantipity, and Munkidori. It's just like they just look kind of like they're not.
Bit
when you get that feeling, yeah, they look sus. I don't know. Ogerpon has always seemed like, especially when it's like peeking out from behind the mask, it doesn't look like sinister to me, at least. It feels like it could be kind of like your friendly mythical Pokemon of some sort, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the story that not all the good ones are the good ones. I mean, they are the bad ones. But yes, I mean, something weird is happening there. But with the trailer, you can maybe take some ideas at what's going on exactly. But I think moreover it will go in this way.
Yeah, I do like that theory about that you've got with Kieran after you defeat him, and then he disappears into the cave, and he's the one that starts this whole scenario off by maybe trying to replicate the story, the old story from the village, and it all kind of kicking off again, and then you have to come to the rescue and try and stop everything, because he's obviously not powerful enough to kind of control what he started. So that I like the idea of that. That would be very cool, I think, if that's how it starts to kind of unfold, which it seems to be like the way that it's gonna kind of go.
Yeah, mostly yes, because I mean, Kaidan, I think, is the typical child that is overprotected, but I think that will make a change in the second part of the DLC of the Indigo Disk. That there will be a time lapse, and I mean, maybe he will realize that he has to become stronger. The typical argument of But I mean, I think also that Keiran will be connected to Ogerpon somehow because maybe he met them in the in Kitakami, and maybe he makes some type of connection or some relation. I don't know, because as you know, Ogerpon has this mask with the Tera crystals. The Tera crystals, what they do is realize all the dreams of the people. It's supposed that is this power of Terapagos. And well, I mean, I think more or less it should be in this way, more or less.
Yeah.
But,
no, that sounds like a good way if it plays out like that. I've got two more things. Well, three more things, but one of them's to kind of end up the show today. But one of them is Briar, who's the new lady that we're going to be introduced to take us to Kitakami from the academy. And you've got some interesting theories about her as well, and her links to Heath as well.
Yes. I mean, it's completely connected to Heath. I mean, it's a professor from Blueberry Academy, so we will see in the first part and in the second part. But I mean, they look like the same. Who knows that maybe she is created with the powers of Terapagos, as happened with Sada and Turo. But but I mean, with those pendants, like it's the terraform, with this, like it's some type of Scarlet and Violet lady with this jacket with the box of the games.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's ultra connected to health. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I think that Cyrano created her somehow. Maybe there's also the last book that it's supposed it's missing, because I think that there's a third book that talks about the legendary Pokemons in depth of Koraidon and Miraidon, and well, more or less I think that it should be the case. Also, she's also super interested in the Terastal phenomenon. Maybe she asks herself, maybe who can be, because I don't know. Maybe she don't know the truth. We have to see because I mean, it's super intriguing, the second part of the DLC, Indigo Disk. I mean, this is crazy, this place, the Terranium, everything. I think it's mind blowing, because we think we know a lot of stuff, but at the same time we don't know anything.
That's very true, yeah. I kind of made that throwaway comment earlier about, well, we're not going to get the legendary Pokemon in there, but there's nothing to say that the legendary Pokemon can't be in there, because like you say, we don't really know too much about anything that's going on in there. There's just crazy weird colored cubes everywhere and structures. So there's and then all the mini games as well on top of that. Why do we need to fly with Koraidon in there? Is there specific things that we're gonna need to go and do? So there's a lot of things I think that kind of link up and say we've probably not got much of a clear picture with what's going to happen in that terrarium. It's just a crazy place, and it's the Blueberry Academy is not just a terrarium either. It's got the above floor where you've got all of the kind of the trainer battles, the Elite Four floor, and everything like that that's kind of going on, as well as everything below. So it seems like a huge area.
I think most people will be surprised by the Indigo Disk, as you just mentioned. I think it's at the moment it appears to be quite underwhelming. Obviously we have a lot of details about Kitakami and the Teal Mask, and from what we can tell, at least from the information we have, the Indigo Disk is just a floating terrarium with some battle bits and bobs. It doesn't look like there's a lot to do. I mean, obviously it looks like you can catch all these Pokemon, and you got the BB League as well. But I think there will definitely be a lot more that we'll find out. Obviously, that they'll tease. I think there will be a lot of content that we, like I said, we just have no idea about yet. And like I said, we got that whole building. There's a lot of, like I said, potential. They haven't really touched on the building other than the BB League headquarters, room or whatever, where you can customize. That's the only thing they sort of mention. They don't really mention anything else other than the battle area out the front. So You know, what else is in there? Because it's huge, right? It's got that whole terrarium underneath here. Like, what else is in this whole building? You know?
Yeah, and Cyrano's definitely gonna have like I feel like a huge role to play in the overarching like story and how it plays out as well. He seems like a really integral character that we're kind of getting introduced to just in the trailers alone, but I feel like in the DLCs he's gonna be almost the big bad, maybe behind everything as well. I don't know, you know. There's a whole theory that's been going for a long time with Geeta as well, and you know, how she has some role to play in what's happened in Area Zero. So whether or not like she ties into like Cyrano, because she's like the champion, or was the champion, right, of Paldea. Blueberry Academy is all centered around battling. Cyrano obviously has a passion for battling. So to be friends with the champion or linked up and teamed up with the ex-champion would make a lot of sense. So to tie her in that kind of way would be kind of interesting as well, I think.
Yes, I mean, Cyrano, it's like some type of genius, because I mean, creating this Terranium, I know it's a game, but creating this Terranium with all these Pokemon, with all this ecology, with 4 different type of places to catch Pokemon, I think that what he pretends to do is to recreate Paldea, because it's not the same, you know, but it's like in the center of Paldea there's like the Blueberry League there. There's also a lot of Pokemon. I mean, I think that what he tried to do is a better version of Paldea with the power of Terapagos, because I mean all those blocks that are in the middle of the Terranium, it's evidence that maybe he made this Terranium with the power of Terapagos, you know. But I think that Cyrano.
If it was like powering the whole the whole thing, that'd be kind of nasty, be cheeky.
I love that theory though.
And also maybe it's this Terranium, it's done between USA and Spain, you know, because there's characters there that like Lacy, Drayton, they are related to Unova characters, and this Terranium should be there. I did a theory also that you remember Marina Tube in Pokemon Black and White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this one. I mean, it's super interesting because as you can see in the floor, they are hexagons.
Wow.
Marina Tube, it's like in the first image you can see it's like in the top right of the Celia, and maybe they did a prolongation about this Marina Tube and it's connected to Blueberry Academy. Maybe
so that's like the first thing that Cyrano like did in Unova before he went and did the Blueberry Academy. That was his first project or something.
Yes, I mean, if you can see, you will use an elevator to go to the main platform of Blueberry Academy, and yes, it's there. And maybe I don't know how we are going to arrive there, because maybe it's a cinematic that directly we go to Blueberry Academy, or maybe there will be some type of expansion map in Paldea, and we will be able to go there. But I'm really sure that it's somehow connected with this Marina Tube, and this will be the reason that there are some characters of the Blueberry Academy, Drayton, Clay, Cherry, that they are connected to Unova characters and to Tesselia. Yes.
I love that. I love everything about that. So I'm like praying.
It would be so nutty if like all of these theories were true, like all of these Unova tie-ins and nods. If they were just like, it would just be wild if they actually did half this stuff. But I can't necessarily see it actually happening. But
I feel like Light's convinced me, but I got a lot of trust in you, Light, because of you have to have, for viewers and listeners that aren't like familiar with Light, go follow him. All these links will be in the description, YouTube channel, Twitter as well. You have some incredible theories, and you do hit right way more often than you hit wrong with your theories. You're like pretty good with what your theories are. So I would always say that we're very close to, this is maybe what will happen. I'm kind of excited to see how the DLCs play out. Not for the fact that I'm excited just to see the story unfold, but to see how kind of close you are with all your theories as well, because it's just hype. It's getting me hyped up for all of this, and I do think you kind of logically put things together as well. So that's why also it's great to have you on here to kind of allow you to share it with our viewers as well, because I know a lot of them loved having you on last time. It was really awesome. So let's hope that these tie-ins to Unova pay off, because I really think they will. I really do.
I mean, it's a perfect marketing to do that, because
Yeah.
you know, if they gave some notes and some hints about the next game, is like the people will go crazy, like, oh, it's a mandatory to stay here, to keep buying the games, to, you know, to make a story, because I mean, Pokemon has a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Thank you very much, as always.
No. But if you do get them right and you are spot on with, let's give you a little bit of leeway, because if you are working for Game Freak, you're going to have to get some things wrong. But I would say like a 85% to 90% success rate. If this all pans out, I'm undeniably just convinced you actually work for Game Freak and you're undercover.
I mean,
feeding the hype train.
I wish I could, but I suppose that there's a lot of people much better thinking about the lore, about everything.
I don't know, dude. Like, I think how you are planning things out, I think a lot of fans would be happy with how your ideas would play out, to be honest.
Yes,
I think it's very...
Yes, I mean, in the end, if they are not in the way I say, I mean, the plan is to enjoy, to read the theory and to think, to make some
it's
type
fun
of
to theorize.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best things about it, you know? It's exciting because it's obviously, I'm like, and we're all getting hyped up for the DLCs coming out, you know, very soon. This chat just makes me even more excited about it, and then it gets me excited for the Indigo Disk, which you haven't even got a date for yet, and of course into next year, where we potentially will be getting, you know, some sort of black and white sequel or linked game to Black and White, to Unova at least anyway, which would be even more hype. I will just want to ask you one more thing before I get on to the 19th Tera Type, which is the final thing that I did want to touch upon today. Like, but this has been on my mind for a while, and I think I've mentioned it to you, Scott. But when you go to a new generation of Pokemon, you've got Megas, you know, in X and Y. You've got Z crystals in Alola. You've got Gigantamax, Dynamax in Galar, and then in Paldea we've got Terastalisation. Now, every kind of region, these gimmicks are kind of tied to that region, right? Now, when we're going to Kitakami, that is not Paldea, and we've seen the mask, and that looks as though that's going to be how Terastalisation works in Kitakami. So I'm assuming, or based off that information, that Terastalisation is not going to be like a freely available thing in Kitakami. And I wonder if that's something that, like, are we going to see Terastalisation completely change when we go there and you have to do it through masks? Or is it still going to be something that we can do, but we have to come back to Paldea to do it? And do you think we're going to see Terra raids in Kitakami as well? Because it feels like the Terra Crystal raids that we have access to are only accessible in Paldea because it's tied to Terrapagos in some sort of form. So it'd be strange to go to Kitakami where there's these masks, and we'll find out how they got there and how they got the Terra Crystals in them and how they work. But to have like the raids in Kitakami, it feels kind of weird that they would be there. And I do worry that won't be a feature in Kitakami. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yes. I mean that Terra crystallization, the terrestrial phenomenon, it's some type of gimmick, a real special gimmick, because I mean the Terra Orb, it's created. You know, it's a jewel of Terrapagos, of the shell of Terrapagos, and then they created this Terra Orb, this Terra crystallization, and in Kitakami it's supposed there will be the mask. So I think that it's some type of gimmick that adapts with some kind of desires of dreams, I don't know, maybe I'm saying this because you know that we have the Tera crowns. Now we will have the Tera mask, and maybe we will have some terraforms in the second part of the Indigo Disk in the Indigo Disk. So there are three different type of forms: Tera mask, terraforms, and Tera crowns. So I think that this power it's quite special because you know that also they create the time machine with this power. They created the paradox Pokemon, and I mean, I think that this power is the most powerful of all the gimmicks because I think that we got 48 megas. I think 48 megas, like 18 crystals set with 17 for each species and 32 Gigantamax forms. But I think that this phenomenon, this gimmick, it's the most special of all we know and the most powerful.
In my head, it kind of makes sense. I totally agree with you that maybe I think there'll still be Tera raids because I think providing you still have the masks, it makes sense if it was like the old way of terastalizing, like before every Pokemon could just have a Tera type, they had to use a mask to terastalize. They had to have a crystal in order to terastalize. In the same way that you have the trainer has the terrestrial crystal when you go to terastalize, they have to actually physically have it on them in order to terastalize. So providing the masks are available, which it seems like they will be, I don't see any reason why it would be a different type of Tera raid, but it will be done through the masks.
That would be very cool.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, and we're like the crown as well. Sort of back to just quickly the crown as well. Very primitive way of terastalizing because it's actually made of the jewel rather than having a special tool designed in order to help you terastalize your Pokemon.
Yes, even maybe Ogerpon found some type of crystals there of Terapagos in the mountain of Kitakami, because there's an image that you can see like inside the cave where Ogerpon is. There are some type of crystals, some brilliant points that maybe there inside. There are a lot of crystals, and Ogerpon did this mask from there. And maybe Ogerpon, as is supposed, is going to be the devil Pokemon, but in fact it's not the devil Pokemon. Maybe he created this mask to protect himself from others. That's the reason also that there are also 3 masks of Okidogi, Monkidori, Amphes, and DPT, that maybe they created this mask, the people from Kitakami, maybe to think that they are the heroes, but finally probably will be Ogerpon. But yes, I mean, I think that the crystallization will work in Kitakami, because there was a video of Snorlax using the Tera crystallization with the Tera normal hat. But I mean, if Terapagos or something like connected with Terapagos, the crystals is there in the region, we will be able to use Tera crystallization and everything that connects. For that reason, I think that even in the Indigo Disk, these terraforms or this Tera crystallization, it's also was created or was manipulated by Terapagos. It's like, if Terapagos is there, or if there are some type of connection with Terapagos, we'll be sure that we will be able to terastalize there.
Yeah, because who's to say as well that like Sarano hasn't captured Terapagos, and that's what he created the Blueberry Academy with, but then it escapes and goes to Kitakami for some reason while we're there, and then the story transpires about us bumping into someone from the Blueberry Academy there to get back Terapagos, to take it back to the terrarium, and that's what then leads us into linking up the stories somehow. I don't know, but yeah, I like the thoughts on that. I think that would be a cool way to do it, and see how it plays out. But yes, it'll be interesting to see how they do it. But I like the idea of the masks being a way to terastalize. And do you think then, with the link to the special terraforms been linked, because it's primarily going to be Pokemon with the mightiest mark that get these special terraforms, right? From your point of view, like, do you think that's going to be revealed in Kitakami, or do you think they're keeping that now until the Indigo Disk?
Yes, I think that they will keep in Indigo Disk, because I also have a theory that there are 2 items that we don't know already what are them, that maybe those items, they are a way to change the form of those Pokemon. But I think that the terraforms are different than to Terastalize, you know? Because in the video of the last Pokemon Presents, that appears Terapagos and then suddenly change the form without any animation or anything. Because it's supposed that Terapagos, we know, the big one, is the Terastal form.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so I have...
Calling it now, all the Gen 1 starters get their Terastal forms. Pikachu gets one. It's all the Gen 1 Pokemon.
I have the thoughts that maybe these Terastal forms, you can change this form not in combat, outside the combat, like Giratina or, you know, Palkia, that you can change the forms.
The origin form and stuff. It makes sense.
Yes, because, I mean, if you do that and then you Terastalize, I mean, it's crazy, you know, it should be easier to do. Yes, I mean...
Yeah.
So maybe these 2 items were created by Cyrano to change the Terastal forms to some kind of Pokemon with the mightiest mark, I hope. But well, I don't know.
I wonder if we'll get a similar situation where, you know how with Mega Rayquaza you could still hold an item without holding the Mega Orb, where you could have like a Terastal form of a Pokemon that can also still Terastalize on top of it.
Jeez, yeah.
No, but only a few Pokemon can do that.
Yeah, I like the idea of that.
Yes, because I mean, if there's only one Terastal form of Terapagos, it's a mess, because it has no sense. It's supposed that Terapagos will have more forms. It's official. In the official page of Pokemon website, they say that we have more forms, so maybe we will find a couple more, I don't know. But I think that those forms, we will be able to change them via an item, or just as was saying, yeah.
That actually makes so much sense, because after Mewtwo, how many types are we missing until we hit that 18 types? For all of the Pokemon with the mightiest mark, till all the types are hit. Would that be like 6 more that we would need to go through?
Yeah, because now there's 12.
So so we need 6 more. So we're gonna have September, October, November. So like pretty much 3 months to get through 6 Pokemon, which works out pretty much, if they're gonna start doing it, like they could do Blastoise, they could do Venusaur, and then 4 more. The starter Pokemon.
Blastoise, Terasteel.
Yeah.
Blastoise, Terasteel, Venusaur, Tera Ground, huh? Take that.
Tera Fire, Venusaur.
Tera
with
Fire,
chlorophyll, man.
Yes, but I mean, those Pokemon, they are going to appear also in you know, all the Pokemon from all generations are going to be in the Terranium, even Snivy. Snivy is the first time.
Yeah, Incineroar.
Incineroar. Yeah, Snivy will be the first time that we are going to see in
Catch Ball game,
and in Switch, in Pokemon Switch. I mean, in Nintendo Switch, and maybe it's going to work very well for VGC players with this hidden ability. It's in
competitive.
It's respondon. Yeah, it's competitive.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's competitive.
Yeah, for superior.
Yes. So I mean.
No, contrary, isn't it?
Contrary. Yes, contrary. See.
Yes. Yeah. It's actually disgusting.
The opposite effects.
Crazy.
Opposite effects.
Yeah. With
Leaf Storm.
Leaf Storm. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And Terastalisation. Oh, that thing's gonna be disgusting.
Next to a Rillaboom.
And the 19th crown.
Some nasty things coming up.
So do you think the 19th crown that's going to be accessible by all Pokemon, or do you think it's going to be just attached to these like special mightiest mark Pokemon, or just Terapagos?
No, I think all Pokemon. But I think that for competitive, maybe they will only allow one, because if not, it will be crazy. It's like
it would make sense if it's tied to an item, so you had to tie it to an item slot.
Yeah.
I.e. the crown or whatever it is, because it would be too broken if you could just randomly do it on any Pokemon. So
yeah, that would make it.
This 19 Tera Type, it's going to be a pain in the head, because first of all, we have to understand how it works, and then we also understand how will work the Tera Blast, because it's not only the 19 Tera
Tera Blast, yeah. Do you want to talk us through how? Because I think you've got a visual. Scott, do you want to bring that up? Because it's quite a good graphic of how to kind of.
This one it's quite easier to understand, and I think that will work in this way. But this is not the Tera Blast. This is how will work the 19th Tera Type.
Yeah.
So offensive sleeve will works like the actual Tera Type. You know that we deal 1.5 stab all the types except the electric and steel, that are the main type of Magnemite in this case, that will deal ×2 stab. And as defense, we will receive neutral damage from everything.
Well, yeah, that would make sense, because obviously anything you would be super effective to will get cancelled out by all the other types. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think this is the easiest way, because if we start to thinking because maybe they're not going to deal more damage this specific type, this is the easiest way to understand.
Yeah.
And also maybe this crown will be the 19th one, because this guy, it's called Card, made this for me. So also I have to mention him. Thank you very much. Yes, this is a guy who does a lot of stuff of Paradox Pokemon. I love the work he does.
Look at that Wooper.
So, yes.
There's a Peach Pokemon.
Yeah, the Peach. Yeah, yes. He asked me to do the Peach Pokemon. Yes, and I told him some ways to do, because I want to be a samurai.
He just needs to stick a Clefable on there.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I will tell him to do like some type of cliff, and I will send to you.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah.
So that is how work more or less the 19th Tera Type. And well, the Tera Blast, it's quite tricky to explain, but what I can say to you, that maybe the 19th Tera Type versus another 19th Tera Type, if you do Tera Blast, you will do super effective damage between them. But because I think that both types, they destroyed between them.
I mean, it would make sense if Tera Blast would be super effective against any Pokemon. If you were using Tera Blast once you in that 19th Tera Type.
It's a good idea, but I think that in the video, or when they showed up Excalibur, it has Tera Blast, I think. In the main website you can see.
Yeah.
And yes, and it's supposed that it's going to use the 19th Tera Type, but it's only say effective with the Tera Blast. Sorry. So yes, so I think that they have to explain really good, because if not, people will go like crazy and like what's going on. But I think yes, I think that. As also when you activate the 19th Terraform, also the other attacks, it's like a glowing, as happened when you use the normal Tera Type. So that's the reason why, as I theorize, that all the attacks will do a stab damage, but the main type of the Pokemon will deal more damage even. Yes, you can see here. Yes. So it's supposed that here is using Terastalisation versus a Dragonite, and it's saying effective.
Yeah, it's weird because the Tera Blast icons even changed. It's because it's completely different. It's like a multi.
That's a good point.
Effective.
That's a good spot.
So it's never gonna. That is really, really good spot. So it's never gonna be super effective, but it's never gonna be not effective either. It's always gonna just hit neutrally against everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point. And if it's supposed that Dragonite is going to Terastalize in the 19th Tera Type, I think that they will be, if you use Tera Blast, it will be super effective between them, because I think that
makes sense.
The 18th Type, they destroy between them.
Yeah.
And also the 19th Tera Type will have a weakness that is its own Tera Type.
2 times weakness, do you think? Or do you think, 2 times weakness? It can't be any more, because then it would be, it wouldn't be very effective.
You got to have some drawbacks to using it, right?
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense.
I like that, though. That makes so much sense, because then the only way to counteract someone's 19th Tera Type is through having Terra Blast of your own, using your 19th Tera Type. It almost makes it mandatory to have Terra Blast on there. It's a pretty powerful Terastalisation as well, where you can think that you're going to be able to fire off a really strong attack against anything that comes in on it, and you're going to do neutral damage to it regardless of the typing of that Pokemon, regardless of if it terastalizes. That's mad. But then are you going to be tied to, I wonder if you can terastalize something else on your team in a competitive environment. If you can terastalize something on your team, you're only tied to 1 terastalization per team per battle, right? But can you terastalize something and then also have the 19th Tera Type as well?
It's too much.
Yeah, I think it's too much. I mean, the competitive will burn.
Yeah, but I mean, they did primals with Z crystals. They did megas with Z crystals, right?
Yes,
so I mean, like anything's possible.
Let's not give them ideas. Let's not give them ideas. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen.
Come on.
Yeah. Just imagine Indigo Disk, everything together.
Yeah.
Well, the Switch won't be able to handle it. It will break down with too many terastalized Pokemon.
We'll have a new Switch very soon, I'm sure. I'm sure about it.
Yeah, and crazy, like 730 Pokemon, they are going to arrive in total.
Yeah.
In the main game and in the both DLCs, they are going to arrive like 730 Pokemon, and the Pokemon we don't know, because maybe we will see more Pokemon, like the Pokemon from Legends Arceus, also other Pokemon that are not mentioned already, evolutions. I think that totally, maybe we will have 800 Pokemon.
Wow, yeah.
That could be in a way. And then you got all these people complaining that not all the Pokemon are in the game, and they're like, shut up. 800 people, there's so many.
Yeah, it's pretty much most of them. There's only like a tiny minute amount that are getting left out,
Exactly.
So, yeah, crazy. Because there'll be about 200, right? 210, 220 in the Teal Mask, and then you can probably imagine there'll be another equivalent amount, if not more, in the Indigo Disk as well. Going to be good.
Yeah, I think we managed to cover everything, to be fair.
Yeah, and the final thing before we get away, let light go, because again, all the theories, I've loved hearing them. But this week, we have the Mewtwo 7-star Terror Raid event happening, and I was really digging around for clues on what the Mewtwo will be running, right? Because Mewtwo, one problem with Mewtwo is it's got such a huge move pool, right? It can learn so many different attacks. So I was like, let's have a look at the trailer. And I was really, like, a few nights ago, I was really analyzing the teaser trailer for Mewtwo versus Mew, right? And, there's a lot of people that are talking about bug type because, it's not very effective. And I said from the start, I was like, if it's not got Power Gem, then bug type's going to be probably the best option, right? But if you look at that trailer, the first thing that Mewtwo does when it attacks is it's got rocks around it, and it fires them at Mew, right? You take a look at the trailer, and I'm like, is that a huge hint that it's going to have Power Gem? And everyone preparing these bug Tera types are going to get burnt. And I just think maybe it is, because I can't see them having Mewtwo with Flamethrower or Fire Blast, because I think then Y suggests it just kind of sets up the casuals to fail if that's a Pokemon that they're going to use. Here it is, right? Here it is. Okay,
yes,
so
totally,
you can see it, right? Yeah. So the Power Gem was my first thing that I was looking at. That, like, so I can say it's going to have Power Gem, okay? This is my theory from this trailer anyway. If this gives anything away. Look at Mew, so cute. Right, now this scene here.
Yes, totally.
Power Gem, right?
Yes, Power Gem, yes.
It would make sense, like I said, because a lot of people will go for bug.
Because now Mew's using a move that it gets, right, which is that Swift. Now, I don't know whether this indicates like a blocking move, like Protect or something like that, or a defensive boosting move to Mewtwo, right? I think that indicates agility, maybe. Like Mewtwo's going to have maybe agility, potentially.
Agility,
and then going to have a psychic type move, isn't it? Yeah, Side Strike or something.
Well, this last scene here, this is a Side Strike animation here. this ball that it's creating here, this is Side Strike.
Yeah,
if you go back to Sword and Shield, that's it's a lot smaller, the ball, but this is the animation for Side Strike. So I think Side Strike's guaranteed. I think now Power Gem. I don't know about agility, but maybe.
No Aura Sphere. What if that's Aura Sphere? Because he uses his hand.
I mean, also I think it's important to bring some attacks that they showed in the first film of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be funny to see maybe using Aura Sphere. But I don't know. I don't remember exactly if use Aura Sphere in the first film. Like
no, it doesn't. And I don't think it will, because I think, again, for the same theory that I think you're kind of... Like, if it's got Flamethrower, it feels like you're setting players up to fail straight away by them suggesting Hydreigon. Like, Aura Sphere is going to absolutely nuke that. So it's not really a great option against Mewtwo if it's got that. So I just feel like, probably not going to have that. And it's probably not going to have Flamethrower or Fire Blast, because then Scissor just gets absolutely burnt. So I think from for those reasons, we're not going to see those two moves, which is why the Dark Mew feels like the one, for me at least. But I'm sure we'll find out in a few days. I don't know. They were just
we will find out in 2 days.
I had
2 days exactly.
The most important thing is to bring Mew, because we will get a boost of 20% in all the stats, and we'll be 6 individual balls at maximum. So I think this is the best important part, to bring Mew, and we will see, because you know it's like some Pandora's box.
It's going to be good. I'm excited for it though, mate. We should hook up and do a raid online together when it goes live. That would be good.
Yeah, sure.
Be fun.
Yeah, we'll have to get you on again before the Indigo Disk, because there'll be loads more stuff after this DLC, obviously, after we've absolutely milked it for content. So, you know, hopefully we get loads of content in both, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, and I think that this time that we are going to wait until Mask until Indigo Disk, we are going to talk about a lot of things.
There'll be a lot of stuff. There'll be a lot of stuff to talk about, which would be great.
Yeah, so it'll be really nice to get you back on in between.
For sure. I mean, anytime.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow. I'm gonna link all the light stuff in the YouTube in description and on Spotify as well. So make sure you follow him. Like Lee's been emphasising, has some fantastic theories, and he's a lovely guy as well. So
thank you.
Go follow him, and to find out whether any of his theories are going to be come true in 2 weeks' time. And I don't think there's much else to say except enjoy the Mewtwo raid in 1 day tomorrow night. We're recording this on Wednesday. Actually, I don't know when we're dropping this. It might be Thursdays or Friday. We're changing the day that we drop this. You'll find out when this drops. And then we'll just have to wait and see. Make sure you leave a review on Spotify, because that really helps us. And let us know what you think. What theory you think is most likely to come true in the DLC. Yeah, and we'll leave it there. Thank you so much once again, my friend, coming on, and we'll look forward to having you on very soon after the Teal Mask drops and before that Indigo Disk hits us for that second part of the DLC. Yeah, like Scott said, leave us a review on Spotify. It does really help. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment down below with your theories, and again, go make sure to check out the links. Follow Light for all of the best theories that you're going to get on Pokemon on Twitter, and make sure to drop him a sub on his YouTube channel as well to keep up to date with everything on that side of things. But I'll pass it to you, mate. You can finish the show. Is there anything that you would like to say before we end it up today?
As always, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to stay here, because I don't know that I'm not in this world a lot of time, but thank you very much for the support that you are showing me to stay here to talk with you, to pass a good time about talking about things that we have in common. And that is also just to say to you that I will promote your channel in my Discord, in my Twitter. You know that my little grain of sun I give to you, and
really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you, my friend.
You know that you are invited here in Spain, in Barcelona. I'm from Barcelona. If you want to
I'm going to Barcelona in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to play in a special event.
Man, so we have to go to eat some lechon, to some jamón ibérico. cerveza, you know.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you are invited. This is your home also, Paldea. And that is. Thank you very much, guys.
No worries. Well, we will see you guys in next week's episode, and goodbye for now.
Wake up.